June 1939, a man stands on a Manhattan pier, watching the great ocean liners come and go. He's 33 years old, he's safe, he's brilliant. He's one of the most gifted theologians in Germany. And his American friends have just arranged for him to teach at Union Theological Seminary, specifically to keep him out of Hitler's reach. And he's about to do the unthinkable. He's about to buy a ticket to go back to Germany. Welcome and Lift Up Your Day, a daily 5-minute devotional, short stories with a biblical heartbeat. I'm Rodney and today the story of a man who gave up safety to walk straight back into the fire, and what he left behind that's still preaching 75 years later. His name was Dietrich Bonhoeffer. By 33, he was one of the most gifted theologians in Germany. A pastor, a professor, a man whose books were being read in seminaries across 2 continents. When the war drums started beating in Europe, his American friends arranged a teaching post at Union Theological Seminary in Manhattan. They did it specifically to get him away from the war and away from the Nazi Germany. Bonhoeffer accepted. He crossed the Atlantic. He arrived in New York. He lasted 26 days. He sat down and wrote a letter to his mentor that said this: "I have made a mistake in coming to America. I must live through this difficult period of our national history with the Christian people of Germany. I will have no right to participate in the reconstruction of Christian life in Germany after the war if I do not share in the trials of this time with my people." And he booked passage on the last passenger ship crossing the Atlantic before the war shut the ocean down. He sailed back, not toward safety, toward the fire. Back in Germany, Bonhoeffer joined a military group of officers secretly plotting against Hitler. He worked in the shadows, and in April of 1943, the Gestapo came for him. 2 years in a Berlin cell at Tegel prison, and here's where the story turns, because from that prison, in chains, under a regime that wanted him dead, Bonhoeffer became more fruitful than he ever had been in freedom. He wrote letters, he wrote theology, he wrote poetry, he preached to fellow prisoners, he counseled the guards who watched him, and he put on paper words the church is still reading today. From that cell, he wrote these words: "I believe that God can and will bring good out of evil, even out of the greatest evil." That's Romans 8:28 with skin on it. In April of 1945, Bonhoeffer was transferred to Flossenbürg concentration camp. The Allied forces were weeks away. Germany was collapsing, and on April 9, 1945, Dietrich Bonhoeffer was led to the gallows. The camp doctor, a man with no faith of his own, said this afterwards: "In almost 50 years I have worked as a doctor. I have hardly ever seen a man die so entirely submissive to the will of God." Bonhoeffer was hanged on April 9, 1945. 23 days later, Germany surrendered unconditionally on May 8th, 1945. He never saw it. Friend, please hear me today. You may be in a season where you can't see the end of the story, where the sacrifices cost you more than you thought it would, where you gave up the safe ship and you're standing in the middle of a storm, wondering if God even noticed. He noticed. Psalm 116:15 says, "Precious is the sight of the Lord as the death of his saints." God was not absent at Flossenbürg. He was present at the gallows, just as he has been present in another execution on another hill 2,000 years before. The cross looked like the end. Boy, it was only the beginning. Bonhoeffer's death looked like defeat. It became a legacy that outlasted the Reich. Whatever storm you've sailed into, God is writing the ending, and he is very, very good at it. And that, friend, is how God lifts up your day.